kutte hemmiye Hestejado dani kodashnikiha Hishijado kutte hemmiye Hestejado dani kodashnikiha Hishijado.
Yo, what up, boys? Kute here. So, you can ignore the video in the background, the clips, just some PvP stuff I've been recording, but I basically wanted to talk today about my experience over the last month and a half. So first of all, if you don't know who I am, Kute, Kute PvP in the game, Kute Gaming, this is my channel. You can check out a lot of my videos. I play a lot of PvP games, and so, you know, I don't claim to be the best PvPer. I'm just an average player who loves the PvP. And so I played New World on release, and on release there was obviously a lot of bugs, a lot of, you know, issues with the game. I mean, if you were here on release, you know what the game was like, so I'm not gonna. You could make a whole video about that. So I quit the game, went back to my old games. You know, played a lot of different games, and I had people in my ear telling me that New World was getting a lot better. Right? They made a lot of changes, a lot of fixes to bugs and everything else, and so, you know, recently I decided to come back to the game and try it out. And it's been about 6 weeks. And in the last 6 weeks, I've had a lot of fun playing New World. You know, so I don't want this video to discourage anybody from trying the game out or playing it. I have a handful of friends who came to the game with me. We've all been playing together. We've been having a lot of fun. You know, we're flagged every day, all day long. If I'm playing the game, I'm flagged. If there's, for whatever reason, you know, people don't want to flag, it's, you know, like a pet peeve to like unflag for me, right? So I play the game flagged, and, you know, I do OPRs, we do arenas, and the thing with me is, like, I watch people's build videos to see why they do certain things, you know, get some insight. I've been shown websites that people use to do builds and things like that. But pretty much in my game, you know, I make my own build, and so it's probably not min-maxed. I mean, you know, I've been playing for 6 weeks. I don't have full end game. I think my gear score is like 696 right now, or 694, something like that. But, you know, I obviously still have some min-maxing to do, in order to get that where I want it to be. But, you know, it does enough to get, you know, to do what I need it to do, right? And so I like the PvP. I play PvP every day. And, you know, this is going to be my perspective, right? So I come into the game, I start playing, I start leveling, I get up to, you know, level 20, where I can pick a faction and you know, join a guild and flag. And as soon as I could flag, I did. And I ran around. I got a lot of videos, clips on my channel showing it, right? When I was leveling, I was PvPing every day, all day long. I mean, everywhere I went, I ran into people higher levels than me, same level as me. You know, I was getting ganked by level 65s and, you know, 60s and stuff when I'm like level 30, 35, and I'm fighting, you know, and I got clips um, where I killed people who were level 65, right? And I'm level 48, where I should not have won, things like that. And I really had a great time leveling. Um, but then when I hit level 65, I started to notice the open world PvP died out. Um, and it was like as soon as I hit level 65, I was, I mean, I would go whole days without running into anybody flagged. And I don't know if it was the places I was going. I mean, I was in, you know, I was in the Elysian Wilds, I was in Brimstone, I was still questing, you know, getting some of those end game quests done and things like that. But for whatever reason, I wasn't running into a lot of people who were flagged in open world. And, you know, this was something that, you know, kind of annoyed me about the game, because I really enjoy being flagged. I enjoy open world PvP. You know, I enjoy doing things and just having that risk of not being safe, right? You know, I mean, I could chop wood in the game and be unflagged, right? I could do quests and be unflagged, and then you're just questing, right? You're just chopping wood, you're just gathering resources. But I like to do it flagged because it puts that extra little, I mean, you're not safe. So there's a possibility of running into another player who's flagged, right? And so the thing about OPRs is that, you know, not having, and in arenas too, is that, you know, not having min-max gear, end game gear, being a newer player, you know, I mean, an old player, but a new player, right? Still getting used to the mechanics of the games, the way I use my skills, how I use them, why I use them. You know, I get comments on my videos where people give me pointers. They say, hey, you should do this skill before you do that skill because it'll help that skill to hit. And I'm like, man, that's a great idea, right? So I really appreciate those things. I don't have a huge community here, but there's some great people in my comments who help me out, and I take that advice, right? And I try to implement it, try to use it. And so, you know, the thing about OPRs and arenas is that you got guys who've been running arenas every day for months, years at this point, right? The same with OPRs. I ran into a guy in OPR who was sitting on the edge of our area, like by the beach, on a rock, throwing a hatchet over the wall and arcing it onto our spawn point. And he was just sitting there. When you spawned, you could just hear, right, like this, the sound of the hatchet flipping through the air and hitting the thing. I'm like, what the heck is that? And then I see this hatchet flying in over the wall, so I go up and look at it, and yeah, this dude's just sitting out on the edge, throwing a hatchet over and hitting our spawn, right? So then I go and stand up on the wall and start blocking, and he starts hitting me. Then this dude moves a little bit and starts hitting the command post, right? And I'm like, okay, you know, so I start, somebody stands over there and starts blocking that. Well, then the dude moves up to a different rock and starts hitting our spawn point again from a different line of sight, right? So it's like you got people who've been doing this for years and know which pixel to aim at in order to damage the spawn point from outside of the outpost, right? And you know me, I'm like I've been playing for, you know, 6 weeks now. I post videos, I post clips of my kills, and yeah, like I said, you know, I don't claim to be the best PvPer in the game. I don't, you know, whatever. I'm a PvPer. I like to PvP, right? I'm not, you know, min-maxed by any means, and I don't know every pixel of the outpost map, right? But this is something I do. I do it in every game that I play, right? You can go back on my channel and look at all the games that I play where I'm doing PvP, and it's something that I enjoy, is playing against players, right? Anybody can go in and start playing against mobs and bosses, and you know, this isn't to hate on people who like to do PvE, right? Because to each their own. Some people like PvE, and you need PvE to make PvP games good, right? PvP games get boring if there isn't the right kind of PvE in there. So, you know, I can appreciate PvE. I just, if I have the choice, I'm not going to participate that very often, you know. But PvP fighting is dynamic, right? So you could fight the same guy 10 times and he's going to make different choices in each time, right? He's trying to outthink you, he's trying to outplay you. And so you can fight the same person 10 times over and you're going to get a different fight each time, you know. I mean, there's a high likelihood. Some people are just gonna run in and do the same thing over and over. But you know, and maybe I'm one of them, right? Like a Zergling noob scrub, which I probably am. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, you fight somebody a couple times, maybe you win one, maybe he wins one, and that's something that I really like about PvP that you don't get in PvE. You might run into a new mechanic, but once you get that mechanic down, that mechanic is always there, and it's at that point, it's at that spot. And so players, players can get really good at PvE, and that's something that they enjoy doing is killing bosses and going through the mechanics and maybe teaching other players how to do the mechanics. But something about PvP where, you know, you can't just learn the mechanics. Every fight is dynamic, and that's something that I really enjoy. And, you know, I guess to wrap this whole video up, the moral of it is that when leveling up to 65 in open world, I got a lot of fights. But after 65, the open world fights died out. You only find them in OPRs, arenas, and races. You have the occasional open world skirmish, you know, some you ran into a random guy somewhere, but majority of the time it's just planned, right? With a race. The game sets up a race and then tons of people pull up, and it's not really as dynamic. I mean, PvP is always dynamic, right? But when it's a race, when it's an OPR, when it's an arena, people are built specifically for that. So there's specific builds and things that people are using to get through those scenarios. My favorite part about open world is the fact that you have to always be ready. And so you don't know who you're going to run into. You don't know how many guys you're going to run into. Right? You could run into a team of 5. Or it could be some other dude who just happens to be mining like you, chopping wood, gathering resources. And that's my favorite part about this game. So that's why I was a little bit disappointed when that part of it fell off. You know, and I've heard from friends that on other servers they have similar issues with PvP, right? Because you have war loggers and stuff like that. I got friends who log for war, you know, and I got nothing against them. I just, you know, my favorite part of the game is the open world random violence, right? Not the planned stuff, not the OPRs, not the arenas, not the races, and those are all fun. They all have their place. But my favorite part of the game is when I'm out mining orichalcum and then another kid happens to run by. Maybe he's mining too. Maybe not. Maybe he's questing. Maybe whatever. Who knows? But he's flagged. And then I'm like, all right, this is it, right? Or maybe we're at the world boss farming, and then all of a sudden you see that little red dot pop up, and you're like, okay, all right, well, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna be cool? Cause I'll be cool if you be cool. And then all of a sudden you start taking damage. I got videos of that too. You start taking damage, and then you're like, all right, he's not cool. We're not cool. We gotta figure this out. I got a line of sight. I got a kite. I gotta get my health back, right? I gotta figure out what's going on. That's the part that I love. And so, you know, if they can find a way to better incentivize that, I'm all for, if you have a problem, come up with an idea, or maybe I'll make another video on with the solution for Amazon, how to fix open world PvP. We'll see. We'll see how this video does, and then I'll think about the next one. But with that being said, you know, I just want to thank all of my viewers, all my subs, everybody who pulls up to watch my videos, whether it's a video that has 30 views or a video with 1,000 or 15,000. You know, I appreciate it because I make the videos, one, because I like doing what I do, but then two, because I know that there's people out there who also like to see my style, right? I'm not some cracked kid who's 180 headshotting kids with a bow, never, his cursor never leaves his target, right? I'm just like you. I'm just like the next kid who's out here, who's standing in OPR playing. I just like to PvP all the time. And so, if that's what you like, you know, subscribe to my channel. You know, talk in the comments, like the videos. You know, maybe you can get into the Discord and we can chop it. We can hang out because we're all like-minded people. And, oh, I can't believe I haven't said this the whole time, but why has there not been a new OPR map since the release of the game. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when OPR came into the game, like, I don't know, a week or two after the release. I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks, but I remember OPR coming into the game. Most people couldn't even access it because you had to be level 60, right? And so there was only so many people who were running them, but it was the same map that we have 2 years later. And so, you know, I think it would, it would, they should just add another map. I don't know. I don't really know even what to say. Well, I know when I came back to the game, I was surprised that they hadn't added another OPR map yet. You know, I was pleasantly surprised that there was 3v3 arenas, so there was new PvP content, but unpleasantly surprised that there was no new OPR map. So yeah, with that, I want to say thank you again. Please like, please subscribe, share, all that, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Hear me, it's the Dado, Danny Kodashnikiha. Hishi Jado, Kute hear me, it's the Dado, Danny Kodashnikiha. Hishi Jado.